time trial of the Tour. Lance had hold of the yellow jersey and a significant lead over second place Ivan Basso in the overall standings. But no stage victory yet to prove it. With a best time set early by Vladimir Karpitz, Armstrong arrived at the time trial determined to bring a stage win to Paris.
Here is the man from Texas. This is the last moment of truth for him.
He's won 10 time trials of the 21 stage victories in the Tour de France, and since he started winning in 1999, he's got 81 of those yellow jerseys. He is now ready. He's warmed up. He's got his children with him. He's got all the supporters around him. Even Senator John Kerry is here to watch Lance Armstrong today. Will he win a stage, or will he wait till tomorrow to win his first race of the year? Armstrong can elaborate on all of these things, but right now his brain and his mind will be empty. He's thinking of just the next hour and a quarter or so.
He's in the zone. He's in a moment of his life when it's only him. It's only about the bike. In the car there, Jean-Francois Pecheux, and Senator Kerry is going to ride behind Lance Armstrong in this 55.5-kilometer moment of truth for this man who, strangely enough, and I can hardly believe it, has not actually won a race so far this year, and he's setting himself up to win Tour de France number 7.
Senator John Kerry is always a supporter of the yellow armbands. He really supports Armstrong. He thinks he's a marvelous figure as he represents all Americans here now. He's almost smiling. I can't believe this. He's gone. Digging into those pedals. No pull off the pedal this time for Armstrong. He is down the ramp for the last time in his career. We are looking at history here, and those big legs are now into a rhythm. As Bobby Julich continues to lead another American who's out on the course, Armstrong is now closing down this stage of the Tour de France, going out of the ramp 155th, and he's the leader of the Tour.
Wearing number 1, as he has done since the year 2000 in the Tour de France. He's going here through a tunnel of noise. A crowd have got right in behind Armstrong. This is the last time we will ever see Armstrong in an individual time trial, and I can't wait, Phil, until we get to kilometre 17 to get the first indication as to whether or not he's going to make this his first win of the year.
Well, at kilometre 35, George Hincapie, his friend and teammates, just gone through. Second best time behind Julich, 27 seconds behind. This is Giuseppe Guerini. He's up on the climb, the Col de la Gâchette, at 40 kilometres right now, and he's still doing a good ride. He doesn't seem to have got tired by his long breakaway yesterday.
He's a man, I think, who's on form coming into the last part of the Tour. He's very spindly legs. He doesn't weigh very much at all. This man is a climber. We remember the drama of him crashing inside a kilometre and a half towards his victory on the slopes of the Alpe d'Huez. But yesterday, he won with sheer tactics, and he had the nose for the win, and he went out at exactly the right time. Armstrong looks great. He's got the good cadence, the cadence that he's developed over the last couple of seasons. He is able to turn those wheels and pedals around at 105 revolutions a minute.
It is incredible how he does it. He's got that nice low position. He's got to watch the roundabout where moments ago we saw Michael Rasmussen go down and get up pretty fast, but it must have cost him 10 seconds.
Well, don't worry, he knows about that. That information will have been radioed back to Johan Brunel in the team car. There's a little earpiece in that helmet of Armstrong's, which he gets information fed to him all of the time. I notice he too has decided, Phil, not to go for a solid disc wheel at the back, and that was something that I noticed Rasmussen did have. He knows that this is a tricky time trial. He knows you need to be maneuverable, and that, I think, is why he's decided this afternoon to go for 2 wheels which are made up of battens of carbon fibre.
Well, this is Jan Ullrich. He was caught for a minute and passed by Armstrong on day 1 exactly 3 weeks ago. Rasmussen does not look as though he's going that well, and already Jan Ullrich is gaining time. Bobby Julich is on his way in. He's got well over a minute in hand on Karpitz, so Sastre failed to better Karpitz. Julich should knock this off the leaderboard because he has gained and gained and gained. This has been the old Bobby Julich, the man who has always ridden great time trials, flying the flag for his new team, CSC, the team he credits with refining him, and he's riding again a great Tour de France. Look at the clock there, 1:14.51 for Karpitz. Rewrite it, 1:13.90 19 for Julik. He really increased what's over the top of the col.
Well, in fact, rather than slowing like one or two other riders have done, Bobby Julik, in fact, did increase his acceleration over the last 15 kilometers, and he actually beat Carpets by 1 minute and 32 seconds. But the battle is still on for a podium position. On the left-hand side, the clock that is ticking down and says 11 seconds is the time difference virtually between Jan Ullrich and Michael Rasmussen on the right-hand side. The little yellow jersey there with a 3 on it indicates the position of Michael Rasmussen if we were to stop the race now in the overall classification. But I tell you what, Phil, 11 seconds with about 40 kilometers to go. Jan Ullrich has got this one in the bag.
After 3,420 kilometers, Jan Ullrich and Michael Rasmussen are almost dead equal on time. It is amazing but true. As we're now back to the leaderboards here, Julik has got the best time.
But Phil, look at the time at 17 kilometers. Ivan Basso has gone through there with the new best time, 17 seconds faster than Jan Ullrich. Now that is amazing.
That is more than amazing. I would never have said it was possible. Ivan Basso, our cameras haven't shown much of him yet, but they will. That is an incredible ride. 25.41. Popovic still riding very, very strongly here up the Col de la Gâchette, and in fact is beginning to move closer. 6th at the previous check, now up to 5th there.
Straight through the bus stop, Ivan Basso cutting the corners very rapidly here, wearing number 21 at 17 kilometers. Basso has the new best time, 25.40, and in fact just 17 seconds faster than Jan Ullrich, and Alexander Vinokourov is still up there in 3rd place, just about half a minute behind.
Well, the man who has really suffered his way through is Michael Rasmussen, only 41st at that first check, with a time 2 minutes 15 seconds slower than Basso.
Basso is looking very mean and very concentrated while we go back to the battle for the podium position. Jan Ullrich has now only got to pull back 6 seconds on Michael Rasmussen, and Ullrich looks a lot more dedicated to the job in hand. Poor old Michael Rasmussen, he's been right up at the top of the overall classification since that long breakaway of his on the road down into Mulhouse, and now he's just about to lose that. He will probably lose that 3rd overall position in the next couple of kilometers.
Well, Basso could be pulling off the ride of the Tour here if he keeps heading this. So only Armstrong now can better that time. Basso's gone through 25.41. Landis second best at the 2nd check to Julik. 17 seconds. Vinokourov 29 seconds. Cadel Evans 4th, 40 seconds. Bobby Julik 5th, 41 seconds, and Julik is home with, and he went faster as he came over the top of the Col de la Gâchette. And now Lance Armstrong can't be far away from that check as he comes up now towards what is the 17-kilometer point of 55 kilometers. Floyd Landis still challenges Bobby Julik because he's close to 5 seconds of him now at the 2nd check, and so he might be starting to go a little bit quicker. So if Basso is starting to shock us all here, we saw his quality in a time trial in the Tour of Italy as Hincapie now comes up towards the finish. So let's look at him now. Hincapie racing for 2nd position. He should get it because he's well clear the carpet. 2nd at the moment for George, 1:14.11. That was another good ride coming in. But Bobby Julik keeps the lead at the moment, and Jan Ullrich is now in 3rd place, and Lance Armstrong has gone through 7 seconds slower than Ivan Basso. So that's a confirmation what the 7 meant. 7 down at 17K. There's his for you. Basso leads Armstrong by 7 seconds. Wow, and Ullrich still mixing in with the top 2. Only 3rd, Vinokourov and Evans. There's some surprises here, Paul, but we've seen from the riders on course that things happen in the middle sector of the time trial. Here's the man who has set the road around Saint-Étienne on fire today. Ivan Basso of Team CSC having a real say in the race today.
Having a serious say in the race here this afternoon, and he's going around that corner using all of the road available to make sure that on these tight bends he doesn't lose any impetus, any momentum at all. And he's actually there. He's just catching Michael Rasmussen, who's having even more problems problems.
Well,
he just had a flat tyre.
I can't believe that. Poor Michael Rasmussen. Well, if he's losing his third place, but he's losing it with every excuse in the book. A crash and now a puncture. You can see what happened here. This is the back wheel. It looks like he pulled his wheel over, Paul. Wasn't a puncture. He's pulled his wheel over.
Well, that's bad luck. I think that could be a problem going back to the crash just a little earlier on, but this man is having a terrible day here, and Lady Luck has obviously deserted him. Let's just have a look again. You see he looks back there, and in fact it was coming undone.
Yeah, that was the gear lever that pulled the wheel out. They did change it, though. This is Rasmussen with a new bike here. That was a little bit of a waste of time, actually. He lost time there because the wheel pulled over. We put it right. It was obviously damaged in the crash. Oh, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. That really is bad luck. He's up and running now, and really it puts you off your rhythm when something like this happens. He was in the wrong gear. He was in a massive gear there trying to get himself going again, and he's not happy. There's a major problem here. Well, he is such a fanatic about preparation and detail. If there's something making him unhappy, it's going to really get to his mind.
I tell you what, if he doesn't, he's completely and utterly off the podium, Phil, and if he's not careful, he could see himself drop down to 4th or 5th.
This is Lance Armstrong out on course at the moment. Well, Basso is the new man on the street. What do we reckon he'll do? We were absolutely spot on with the time that George Hincapie came in. And now we're saying that the estimated finish time for Basso will be 1:12:37. And the time to beat is Bobby Julick's 1:13:19. His effort is over, and he went quicker as the finishing line approached. Bobby Julick could still hold #1 position later, and that's his teammate challenging him. We'll take a break. Welcome back to Lance Armstrong, the look back at the Stage 20 time trial of the 2005 event. American Bobby Julick had set the best time so far, but after the first checkpoint, second place in the overall standings rider Ivan Basso now had the best time. Lance, who had not won a stage thus far, was trailing the Italian by 7 seconds at that check and running out of kilometres to win a stage before Paris. Quickly back into the rhythm. Still checking on the computer here. Nobody else has arrived yet, and poor old Michael Rasmussen is having a nightmare. I think he's had 2 bike changes so far, plus a fall. And he can't race against those odds and expect to finish 3rd in Paris, that's for sure. Ulrich is now, and just look at this. I think this is his 3rd or his 4th bike change. I don't know where they're getting the bikes from, unless they're putting him back onto his original one. But that is an awful sting. Michael Rasmussen could be dropping right away here. Cadel Evans, who's doing such a great ride, could be moving up possibly into 6th or even 5th position overall. Here we are over the top of the Col at 40 kilometres. Landis goes through. Second best. He is chasing Bobby all of the way, but he's 32 seconds down on Bobby. That'll be 33 for the benefits of the overall standings. But Landis nonetheless still second up the mountain there. Well, this is an amazing time trial. Let's just have a look. Basso, this is how we think it'll look if they don't slow down, of course. Basso should come in with a 1:12:37, beating Armstrong and Ulrich. All this based, of course, on the first time check at 17. We still have the climbs in between, and we have seen Julick go quicker rather than slow down. Just looking there at the very cautious piece of cornering by Jan Ullrich, and quickly back into his saddle. This is a technically difficult course today on these time trial bikes. Ullrich is now heading up. He must be very, very close to the second check at Saint-Romain. This is the village, Saint-Romain-en-Jarez. And here, let's go to the Col de Gachet, because this is Vinokourov. He was dead level at the last check, losing by 1/10 of a second to Julick, and it's going to be very, very close. It's a long climb up here. Take a look at that face, Paul. This is Vinokourov in a very determined mood.
Well, this is probably the best time trial I think I've ever seen Alexander Vinokourov ride, Phil. He's very motivated because these roads around here are roads that he's trained on a number of occasions, and he stopped the clock with the best time there, 17 seconds faster than Bobby Julick. This man is on fire.
Well, that means he's climbed the Col 17 seconds faster than Bobby, because they were dead level at the previous check at the bottom. 57.33, a new leader here in Alexander Vinokourov. Mancebo's gone through the second check. He's holding 6th position on the race, 42 seconds behind Bobby Julick. at 40 kilometres. Vinokourov is the top dog here, and looks as though Ullrich is having a bit of problem on the corners.
Well, all of the riders will. These are very nasty corners. Some of these corners on the course here this afternoon are 180 degrees. You've got to turn around completely back on yourself. That's why I think this part of the course doesn't actually suit Ullrich quite as much as it suits Armstrong, because Ullrich uses a much bigger gear and he has actually a hard time accelerating back up to top speed. But when he gets up to top speed, he's pretty impressive.
Well, Mancebo is through the second check. Lance Armstrong is racing to it. Be a few minutes before he gets there. Basso is the leader at 17 kilometres. We're moving on now to the 40-kilometre point where Vinokourov is the leader there. 18 seconds quicker than Julich. Julich has finished, of course, and he is holding best time at the finishing line. He'll be watching these television pictures just like we are.
He certainly will. There are just 4 more riders to come to that intermediary time check. The riders will be Ullrich, Rasmussen, Basso and Armstrong. We'll have an idea then whether or not Armstrong is picking it up in the middle part of this course. It is a very difficult testing course. Armstrong, to me, has seemed in great form throughout his Tour de France. That's why I was a little surprised to see him go through that first time check in only second place. But maybe he's dosing his effort to absolute and utter perfection. Ullrich, at the moment, is right out on course, but Vinokourov is setting the race alight.
The big frame of Alexander Vinokourov as we now switch the finishing line, and I think Popovic should come over here with a top 5 position at the moment. Vladimir Karpic is in third, and a big effort required from Jaroslav Popovic, the white jersey, and with a ride like this, he'll take that jersey to Paris tomorrow as the new rookie of the Tour. Rather ironic, Karpic was the old rookie of the Tour from last year. Slight uphill finish here as Popovic rides on. Oh, look at this, I can't believe what we're seeing now, because this is Rasmussen. I've never in my life called a time trial like this. This man has now crashed twice and I think has had 4 bike changes.
It's a complete and utter disaster for the man who leads the King of the Mountains classification. Phil, everything is gone, his coordination, the lot, as Jan Ullrich goes through kilometre 35 with a new best time. This man who started the day in third place is seeing his Tour de France become a nightmare.
Wait for Armstrong to go through the second check. He was off the pace by just 7 seconds at the first from Ivan Basso, and we're not sure whether Basso, every time we cut back to him, he seems to be riding with a great deal of caution now, while Armstrong does seem to be moving a lot quicker. Well, Armstrong's well settled into his pace. Ullrich is still leading at the second checkpoint, 41 seconds ahead of Bobby Julich. This is the finish of Christophe Moreau, and he challenges here the ride of Popovic. Now he's gone past that. Popovic has beaten him. He's now looking for 5th, 6th place as he crosses the line. So that's a good ride, but Julich remains at top of the pops here at the finish in Saint-Etienne. Well, Basso, by the way, has gone through. Now is showing only the second best time. Basso has fallen behind Ullrich at the second check by 34 seconds, so he has slowed down. We're looking at Lance Armstrong here, and he might well reverse the tables on Basso as well. He made that incredible start and has slowed. Lance Armstrong, the last ride to win the Tour de France without a stage win, was our friend Greg LeMond back in 1990. But the big news is we're waiting for Armstrong to arrive at that second check. Basso has slowed dramatically. He was ahead of Ullrich by 17 seconds, and poor old Rasmussen wants to forget this Tour, doesn't he? He's now 34 seconds behind Ullrich. I'm just wondering what poor old Michael Rasmussen is thinking of this world out here today. He's in his own private world. He keeps on falling off, overshooting corners, 4 bike changes, 2 crashes, and at the moment he's now 2:34 behind Jan Ullrich in the classification. Oh no, this is Ullrich's position against Basso.
Ullrich is now challenging Basso because Basso is actually losing time. He's lost 34 seconds to Jan Ullrich at the 35-kilometre time check. Now, at the start of the day, he had 3 minutes and 12 seconds advantage, and I think Basso is actually a little bit scared on the descent because he's lost most of that on the downhill section of this course.
He has indeed. He's slowed quite clearly as we look at the pictures. He's slowed, and Ullrich is in the old Ullrich mode here, the man of the time trials we know from 1996. He's a world champion as an amateur in 93. They don't have amateur world titles anymore. They're under 23 now, and that was when we knew Ullrich was special. The very next day, it was a certain Lance Armstrong winning the professional version. But we didn't know then Armstrong and Ullrich would come together as the two top bike riders of the era. Cutting ways through the crowd now. Estimating finishing time at the moment is Basso, Armstrong, Vinokourov. I think that'll change a bit now because Ullrich is travelling quicker than Basso.
Phil, you know, Rasmussen has just gone through that second time check, having lost 5 minutes, but there is a brand new best time at 35 kilometres. It belongs to number one. Armstrong has gone through that point with a time of 46.38, 19 seconds faster than Jan Ullrich.
Well, he was 7 seconds behind Basso at the first check. He's now 19 ahead of Ullrich and nearly a minute ahead of Ivan Basso, his closest rival in the Tour de France. He didn't panic, he made the steady start, but boy, he's travelling like an express train now. Up to the top of the Col de la Gâchette, here is Ullrich. Should be a new best time over his teammate Alexander Vinokourov. Look at this man go. This is the Jan of old. He drives on, he knows the ride he's doing. His team will have told him. And this is his answer to all of those newspapers around the world who said he was finished. 37 seconds faster than his own teammate Alexander Vinokourov. But as we go up to the finish line, the final 15 kilometres, Phil, are going to suit Jan Ullrich. Pereiro has crossed the line in 7th place there, 1 hour 15 and 11. But that's still almost 2 minutes slower than Bobby Julich. But that news about Lance Armstrong goes to indicate that he really wants this. Well, they're crossing swords again in their favourite discipline, the time trial. And forget the other 153 riders. This is a battle now, Ullrich versus Armstrong. At the 40-kilometre point at 25 miles, 56.54 Ullrich, Vinokourov 57.32. Bobby Julich in with best so far, 57.50. Almost a minute behind Jan.
Well, it really is a yo-yo ding-dong individual time trial here, because we had Basso lead, then Ullrich, and now Armstrong is going through with the best time. It really is an incredible individual time trial, and it is such a difficult course to judge because it's got a little bit of everything. Corners, uphills, downhills, flats, and points where you really have to take your life into your own hands, especially going through one or two of the villages on the course.
Well, Vinokourov is heading the board at the 4th and final check now, just going through best time in 67 minutes 13 seconds. Only 17 seconds ahead of Bobby Julich now.
That's amazing. That is quite remarkable. Now it's the turn of Floyd Landis. He's challenging the time here of George Hincapie. That's not really a surprise because Landis is a very good individual time trialist. This is a fabulous performance by Floyd Landis, who next year will be able to climb up very much into the mantle of leader at Team Phonak.
Just look at this, though. Hincapie, Julich, Landis, and he's coming now and splitting them again. It's Julich first, Landis second, and George Hincapie third. That's the situation at the finish. 3 Americans on top of the leaderboard. Going back out to Ivan Basso. We think he slowed down. We're not sure why, but we think he might have lost a little bit of his bottle here today on these descents. It's an incredible situation. 1, 2, 3 American riders in at the finish. Then comes Karpitz, Popovich. Well, he's not an American, but he's on the American team. He currently sits in 5th place.
Well, you can see here Ivan Basso, and he lost the majority of his time on the descent going through the towns a few moments ago. A complete reversal. Armstrong, on the other hand, is out of the saddle. Phil, this is, let's not forget, the last time that this man is going to ride an individual time trial in his career. The next time check he's looking at 40 kilometres is the time of Jan Ullrich's.
There's Rasmussen. He's catching Rasmussen as we speak. So this is amazing, but he's got Rasmussen in his sights now. Rasmussen started 6 minutes in front of Lance. Lance will be surprised at this, but he won't know, I don't think, the sort of nightmare that Michael Rasmussen is having today. I'm not sure, Paul, but Lance Armstrong here, last time, 3 weeks ago, he had Jan Ullrich in his sights. He passed him a couple of kilometres from the finish. Now he's put 6 minutes into Michael Rasmussen. All of a sudden, Rasmussen is having a terrible Tour de France, and it's not all his fault. But Armstrong must think, wow, I must be going good. He doesn't know, of course, this man's changed his bike 4 times and fallen off twice.
Yeah, very sad, I think, for the man who has been one of the dominators, one of the aggressive riders of the event, Michael Rasmussen there, just being caught and passed by Lance Armstrong. But, you know, we are looking here at an express train who has set the fastest time at 35 kilometres covered, and it won't be too long, I would say 3 or 4 minutes before Armstrong gets to this next tech at 40 kilometres covered. And it is, let's not forget, on the part of the course that will suit him over Jan Ullrich, because it's up the Col de la Gâchette.
Down to the finish. This is going to be interesting. The first man who might challenge Bobby Julich. He was 17 seconds behind him. Alexander Vinokurov races home as he hits the line. His best time, 1:13.02. The 17 seconds survived. He kept them all. He now is the new leader in at the finish.
Well, that is a great performance by this man who in the past has really been not regarded as a very good individual time trialist. There's going to be some serious changes, Phil, in the overall classification tonight between 5th and 10th place.
Well, what an amazing time trial this is. These boys are fighting all the way to the line now. Vinokurov is best time in the finish. Julich is second. Landis third. Hincapie fourth. Those three all-American riders. Then Karpitz, Popovic, Sastra. And now back out on the climbs here. It is Basso. He started in second place, 3 minutes ahead of Lance Armstrong. They have both passed Michael Rasmussen. We didn't see, in fact, Basso pass him.
We didn't see him pass him. It was in the town a little while ago, but Basso started this time trial very quickly indeed, covering the first 17 kilometres in 25 minutes 41. But now on this technical part of the course, he seems to have lost a little bit of the fluidity. You know, when you see a rider starting to rock his shoulders like that, that's the first sign that fatigue is beginning to creep in.
Just looking here at Ivan Basso, 2:27. He is now ahead of Jan Ullrich. I don't think Ullrich can surely take all of that time off him. But Lance Armstrong, there's no stopping this man now. He is racing to a stage win today, if times are to be believed, and they are. Is Basso coming through now, aiming at Vinokurov's time. It looks as though Basso is slowing quite dramatically here. Take a look at that face, because he's now going behind the time of Vinokurov, and Bobby Julich is the next target. He'll be close to his teammate here, Bobby Julich, but that wasn't meant to be the plan. Julich was supposed to not beat him. Third place for Basso as he goes over the top. Well, it looks like he's actually slowing down, Paul. Whether it is because he's lost a little bit of nerve, I think he started too fast.
I think he did start too fast, and combine that with the loss of nerve going down the descent. You know, these bikes are very scary to ride. And look at the way he's going around these corners. I think, to put it in, as we would say in the language from Liverpool, he's lost his bottle.
Well, he took a chance there as he swung round tight. Third best time over the top so far, but Lance Armstrong is yet to come there. He's on the climb and powering up now. All of the riders are through the second check. Armstrong now leading. And look at this, Cadel Evans running into the finish. This has been a ride of his life too. This is the man who's setting the best Australian finish for 25 years, more or less, in the Tour de France, when the great Phil Anderson twice finished in 5th place. Cadel Evans has done a very determined ride today. He's pushing the time of Hincapie. He takes it off him. Evans 4th best so far, 1:13.52.
Brilliant ride by Cadel, who's not had exactly the best preparation leading up to the Tour de France. Now let's check this out. This is Lance Armstrong. The time he's looking at is 56 minutes and 55 seconds. That was set by Jan Ullrich, and Phil, he is a long way inside that.
He is eating the road up now. Look at the face of Lance Armstrong. This is a man saying, I've never won a stage. Well, watch this, because he's out to get it now as he races up towards the summit of the Col de la Gâchette. 56.23, 32 seconds up on the race. A little bit close, perhaps, those motorbikes. They need to open up the gap a little bit now as they come through the crowd here. But there is our television. They're further away now. And the 32 seconds his lead, and he's now into the last 15 kilometres.
Well, this man wanted to win a stage before the end of the Tour de France, but he's going into a part of the course which actually suits Jan Ullrich an awful lot more than it suits Armstrong. Ullrich is the most powerful man, but we've still got a long way to go.
Rasmussen is in all sorts of trouble now as he loses huge slices of time. It's going to be a very disappointing result for him, but at least he'll be the king of the mountains. He still has 15 kilometres to go to the finish.
Well, I think, you know, Michael Rasmussen this afternoon, Phil, could see himself dropping from 3rd place at the start of the day right down to 6th or even 7th if he can't get himself into a rhythm over the last few kilometres. And he's in the part of the race now which doesn't suit him. It's the part of the course when you've got to turn in the big power and get the turbo kicking in.
Well, as Armstrong again takes a little bit of risk here, but he's paying off, having recce'd this course before the Tour de France. At the top of the Col de la Gâchette, where everybody is over, Armstrong leads Ullrich by 32 seconds. Vinokourov by 1 minute 10. Basso 1 minute 18, and Bobby Julich 1 minute 28. Those are the leading five.
Well, that's a great ride by Bobby Julich, but you know he did a very good ride in the individual time trial last year at the Tour de France around Besançon on a completely different kind of course. Julich finished in 5th place ahead of Ivan Basso on that occasion. It looks like he might do it here.
He might well do the same again here. Basso has gone out very, very quick, and he certainly threw a shockwave around the camp when we saw that first time check. 7 seconds quicker than Armstrong. By the second time check, he was 53 seconds behind him.
He was a long way back, and I think it's all to do with that very rapid start. He'd got the time checks communicated back to him that Bobby Julich had set out on the course, so he obviously went out and tried to match those. He matched them a lot better. In fact, he went faster than Bobby Julich over the first 17 kilometers. But when we got to the middle part of the course, which is pretty sketchy, I would have to say, for a Tour de France time trial, very technical, very scary, that's when he lost all of his time.
Manseba, by the way, off our cameras all the time, is riding the course in the 7th best time at the moment. Rasmussen lost 6 minutes and 26 seconds. He's just gone over the top of the Col de la Gâchette. That is enormous time loss for him today. It's now Jan Ullrich who is up into 3rd place in the Tour de France. He's going to run close to catching Basso, but I don't think he can get the time back. At the moment, Armstrong leads Basso by 4 minutes 4, Jan Ullrich by 6 minutes 30. That's how the time checks will afford to be attributed to the overall race situation.
That's if we stop the Tour de France right now, but unfortunately for these men, there's still about 10-12 kilometers to go, and that was at the 2nd time check.
But Rasmussen down to 5th and over 10 minutes behind Lance because of all of his problems.
Well, this is Levi Leipheimer, the next man to come up. He's actually done a pretty good performance. He's going to finish in the top 10.
This is Levi Leipheimer now, and this is going to be a very, very good time for Levi. Not his best time trial, I think we should say that. I think he's a little bit tired, 10th at the moment, and of course faster times still to arrive, but a good average speed, 44 kilometers an hour there. Let's have a look at the current top 5 then. They're changing all of the time. Vinokourov is in with best time, 1:13.02. Julich 2nd, Landis is 3rd, and that is a very good result still for the Americans. But the big American looks to be heading for his first stage win of the Tour. And welcome back. This is Ullrich arriving. 1:12.05 is passed by. He's aiming at 1:13.02. He's going to annihilate Alexander Vinokourov. Listen to the crowd here. Ullrich just returned to big-time bike racing. He's got the best time. 1:12.09 for Jan Ullrich. And he has come home fighting all of the way. That puts him in the top position now. He took almost a minute out of Alexander Vinokourov. An incredible result there for Jan Ullrich. 53 seconds better than his teammate, who in turn has done one of the rides of his life. Bobby Julich is 3rd still, 1 minute and 10 seconds. And Floyd Landis there in 4th place. But this is now Lance Armstrong. Still waiting for him to arrive at the last 2 time checks. There's confirmation of the top 5. Jan Ullrich has done his bit for sure. Now, can Lance beat that? Ullrich is the one Lance said would win today, yet the time checks are telling us differently. Armstrong still holds the best time at the Col de la Gâchette, 32 seconds quicker there than Ullrich. We're still waiting for him at the last check out en route. If Armstrong keeps up this sort of pace, then his arrival time should be about 1:12.35, but he's still got the one final time check, which will maybe alter that, because he is the fastest time at the top of the mountain. This is Ivan Basso in the streets of Saint-Étienne now.
He doesn't look comfortable at all. He's all over his machine. He's trying to find the rhythm, keeps battling to get himself into that aerodynamic position. I think he really pushed himself a little bit too hard over the first 17 kilometers.
The big showdown of the Tour de France in this cycling-mad city. Look at the crowds here. He's certainly taking it very carefully on these bends. Very, very carefully through the S's there. And quite clearly a little bit worried about this course. He hasn't enjoyed. He got off to a great start. There's no doubt about that. But then the course started to get technical. The climbs, the descents, the journeys through the streets. And he's lost time ever since.
In fact, he's lost 1 minute and 15 seconds at the 49.7 kilometer point. He shouldn't lose very much more than that. He shouldn't lose his second place in the overall standings to Jan Ullrich, but Ullrich will have pushed him a little bit close there. He started the day 3 minutes and 12 seconds ahead of Jan Ullrich, as now Armstrong is looking at that time check at 49.7 kilometers.
Well, Basso was ahead of Julich by 10 seconds up the col. He's now gone behind Julich, who holds third place over the top of the mountain. Armstrong should beat that. It looks like Bobby Julich is heading for the fourth place finish on today's stage. That's a great ride by Bobby. And the team CSC packing well too.
Phil, just look at Armstrong here.
Guy.
He's sprinting as if he's coming into the finish line. He's only going for the time check. That is absolutely remarkable. This man is possessed here this afternoon. He wants this stage victory. You know what? The big advantage he's got, he knows that Jan Ullrich has stopped the clock in 1 hour 12:09. He wants that time himself.
He's sprinting home here. He is out of the saddle. He is 5 kilometers to go. This is an incredible way to say farewell to your life as a pro bike rider. His last time trial in the Tour de France. He is in such a hurry to get back to those kids on the finishing line. Look at this. He's through. 1:05:51. That's the time. Ullrich is second now. Armstrong is going to win the stage. He is leaving the Tour de France in perfect condition.
A 35-second beating there at that 49.7 kilometer check over Jan Ullrich. These two men, Phil, have been locked in battle over so many years, and once again Armstrong seems to be taking the upper hand. Look at his face there. He seems to be looking up the road to see if he can see the finishing banner. Well, he's still got around about 5 kilometers to get there. He really is concentrated this afternoon. You know, he did not want to win this Tour de France without winning a single stage out on course.
And at 3 kilometers to go, at 1.5 kilometers ahead of Lance Armstrong, Ivan Basso is now 2 minutes slower than him at this point in time. He's going to be only in 4th or 5th place. Not a bad ride, but not a great ride. It's time to dance with Lance now, because he's running towards the line at full speed. And this guy, let's make it 65 kilometers, because he's going faster and faster and faster.
Well, I tell you what, Phil, if this is Dance with Lance, this is probably going to be the last dance for Lance this afternoon as he heads out into the outskirts of Saint-Etienne. Just watch the way he goes through this corner, sweeps across the apex, not even a blip on the horizon. He doesn't change his trajectory one fraction to keep his speed nice and high. I would estimate here he's probably riding at around about 55 kilometers an hour.
Well, just look at him. He never alters his body position. He just kicks harder with those big muscles and those legs, and a cadence of more than 100 revs a minute. As he knows now, he is setting the best time. He will hear in his ears. He will just go faster and faster and faster. And poor old Michael Rasmussen's just gone through the last check. 7 minutes and 18 seconds off the pace. 81st place. I think he'd be in 6th or 7th place overall. So he'd be, 6th or 7th place.
He is seriously going to plummet here this afternoon in the overall classification on a day when he was hoping to stay on the podium, and that's going to be a very tough sandwich for him to eat this evening. But he will take away from the Tour de France a stage win, and he'll take away the King of the Mountains classification. This man, though, is looking to try and take away the final individual time trial around Saint-Etienne. Funny, you know, the last time there was a time trial in the Tour de France at Saint-Etienne, it was Jan Ullrich the winner, and Ullrich has stopped the clock with the fastest time, but he's still got his arch rival, arch enemy out on course with the fastest time at 49.7 kilometers covered.
It seems an awful long time ago since Jan Ullrich finished, but the gaps are 3 minutes and more now, because poor Michael Rasmussen, he's behind the field, so it'll be nearly 6 before we see, maybe more, 7 before we see the arrival of Ivan Basso. Well, he'll be next in.
Basso seems to have gone to pieces. He doesn't really seem to be getting the energy out that he was in the time trials at the Giro d'Italia. You know, we're estimating, and it's always very difficult to estimate the finish time of Lance Armstrong, but I just did a quick calculation and estimated his time on the line to be 1:10:59. And that is a massive beating of the time of Jan Ullrich.
1 minute 10-second beating of Ullrich, and it's going to be a beating, let's face it. It's going to be a beating of Jan Ullrich here. There's no doubt about that. Armstrong is going to win the time trial. He's going to win the Tour de France. His team's going to win the white jersey. Boy, I hope they've got plenty of champagne in that following car tomorrow.
Ivan Basso is suffering here. He knows he's got to battle. He's got to turn himself inside out to make sure he can stay in second place. He lost second place overall in the Tour de France last year in this very discipline. He's now not too far away. He's done a great ride. He's rivaling the time of his own teammate Bobby Julich, but he's going to go outside of that as he comes up to the final corner. And you know what, Phil? This is going to seem like an awful long way for him.
Well, Bobby Julich has beaten his team captain. That's a great feather in Bobby's hat. They're both on CSC. It's a great team this year. And as they come up to the line, Basso probably has done enough now to keep his second place finish in the Tour de France. All that pain has been worthwhile, but he had to get plenty of time in the mountains to hold off a fighting Jan Ullstrong. The best time is still 1:20.09 as Basso finishes 1.5 minutes slower. He drops behind Julich in fourth.
Well, fourth place on the stage. He lost around about 1 minute and 34 seconds of his advantage, so he will still be in second overall this evening. But already in the streets of Saint-Etienne is the man from the Lone Star state of Texas. Lance Armstrong is ticking his legs over as he was over the first kilometre of this time trial at around, look at that, Phil, that is poetry in motion.
It is the picture we will never see again. All of the following cars behind a rider in yellow we've come to know since 1999, the master of the race of truth, and that's what it's been today for everybody. And don't mention poor old Michael Rasmussen either. Armstrong is, you won't believe what the crowd are doing here. They are leaping in every direction as Lance Armstrong brings his time trialing career in any race, particularly the Tour de France, to an end. He brings it to an end as a winner. The first ever stage he has won this year, the first bike race he has won this year. Armstrong wins the time trial and wins the Tour de France.
1:11.46. In fact, he lost a little bit of time to Jan Ullstrong over the end, and his face was a picture of pain coming up to the line. But Phil, he's done it. He did what he wanted to do. He's won an individual stage of the Tour de France. He's broken his duck, and there he is. He's really pushed himself here this afternoon, and he will be very satisfied with that. He can relax tomorrow on the Champs-Élysées.
Let's have a look at the stage result. 23 seconds, Jan Ullstrong. 1:16 to Alexander Vinokurov. That's his best ever time trial. Bobby Julich rode superbly to finish fourth. His team captain Basso finishing the top 5. And coming out on the stage now, listen to that crowd. This is Lance Armstrong at his best, waving to his public.
Well, this is special. This is what Armstrong wanted. He didn't want to win the Tour de France this year without winning an individual stage. We had to go back to 1990, and that was Greg LeMond when he won without winning an individual stage. Armstrong didn't want that to happen. He wanted today to do honour to the yellow jersey and win a stage.
Well, he looks out there. That's his first stage win. The American flags fly high. Lance Armstrong is now a day away from his 7th Tour de France victory. On July 24, 2005, Lance Armstrong crossed the finishing line on the Champs-Élysées to win his 7th consecutive Tour de France, finishing 4 minutes and 40 seconds ahead of Ivan Basso, with Jan Ullstrong in third. Lance retired from cycling after this win, but in 2008, he shocked everybody by announcing his comeback to the sport in the hopes of bringing awareness to cancer research. Well, thanks for watching Lance Armstrong. A look back at stage 20 of the 2005